Don't got a great issue for you, but welcome back, big brother. This is my guy Tmoney. What's happening? Welcome to the Uncut again, brother.
Hey man, what's going on? You know, hey, I'm in here with him in the flesh.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. This your boy Tmoney Jr.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? And we did this last time over the phone.
Over the phone. It's come a long way.
Now
got some mics. Still on the phone though. We on the phone with it.
We on the phone with it. but the setup is elevated since then.
It has.
You know,
a few $100. So who knows what's going to happen in a couple of years? You know what I mean? Yeah. I say 203. 203.
The investment into your podcast and into your business is the elevation game went up and we still here with good convo. That ain't never gonna change.
Oh no.
That's always gonna be priority number one.
Facts. When you genuine, you ain't gotta fake it. You ain't gotta worry about none of it. It'll manifest. It'll come as it's supposed to.
Always.
Yeah. So let's get straight to it, man. You know, we always have a lot of great conversations, and in fact, we were having one earlier with my mom, who gave some pretty funny opinions about it. But like dating now, right? It's taking a different turn for a lot of different people. And one thing I'm curious about, where you've been a good influence on my life, is giving perspective and things like that. And I kind of wonder what your take is on, because everybody hears about the nonsense and the ratchet stuff, but like, what's your perception on healthy relationships? How do you feel about them? How they're displayed, or the lack of healthy relationships displayed in media and stuff like that? What's your take on that?
Okay, well, as far as healthy relationships I think it's really based upon following, you know, what you believe is a healthy relationship, not getting too caught up in the media, social media, what a perfect relationship is.
Right.
Because in life, nothing's ever perfect in the first place. So if you can find a person who you can relate to, more so, you know, you gotta be physically attracted to somebody, but as far as it goes as personality-wise, somebody that you can find something that you have an interest in, like that person is into fitness, or if they're into fashion, or if they're into a certain type of trend, like watching movies or anime or whatever you might have an interest in. That's what it's really about, because at the end of the day, looks get boring after a while. You know what I mean? And then all you're left with after the sexual appeal and the good sex, bad sex, whatever you may be, you know, enduring, is all you're going to have is conversation in each other.
Right.
So once you get past that, as far as finding a perfect soulmate, it's no such thing as that. It's about what you make it with a person, you know what I mean? If you have the same interests as a person, that's why I really think a good relationship or a relationship that you can see yourself in long term, not just for the moment. That's why I look at it.
I do think that there are people out there that are perfect for each other. I don't believe in a perfect person, right? Yeah. But I do think that there are some people and I think it takes a level of knowing yourself, having grown to a certain point in your life. And some people are quicker to get there and they know earlier. You know, some people are high school sweethearts. They know when they're 22, 23. Yeah, others may not meet their person until they're 40, 50 years old, right? And so patience is a virtue. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And just sometimes even when you meet that person, and I've experienced this, a right person, wrong time. How do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like that's really a thing for some people, or do you think that in some cases, and maybe I have been naive in those circumstances. I don't feel that I have, but you outside looking in tend to give good perspective. So do you feel like you've been in those situations? Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel like you said, the piggyback, the right person, wrong time. I feel like, yeah, I've definitely been there, because I've met some good women when I was younger, but it was like, I couldn't handle the pressure of just one woman. You know what I mean? Like I had a lineup. I was like the NBA. You know?
Start five.
We had the starters. We had the bench. And when we was younger, we could handle that. You know what I mean? Because we had more time. You know what I mean? More time to play around. More time to be on the phone and texting different girls. But as I got older, it's like I had less time. I had work. Yeah. I had like life problems going on. I had to try to figure out what I wanted to do with myself. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta push myself away from trying to deal with too many women, because too many different emotions.
Yeah.
One woman's happy, one woman's sad, one woman's funny, one woman's in her feelings about something else. So it's like, it's too many different emotions. So it's like, yeah, it's hormonal. Like, hold on, man, I can't deal with all these emotions. So I'm like, all right, let me slow it down a little bit and try to find myself somebody that I can relate to. You know what I mean?
Like pressure though, do you feel like you ever put too much pressure on yourself in terms of what you expect from others or from yourself?
Yes.
Like, what does that look like for you though?
I think for me it's more so of like, I'm not a perfectionist, but I always like things to be lined up in order. And that's been like one of my double-edged swords in life. You know what I mean?
Just talked about that a few weeks ago. Yeah. Don't talk about it. Yeah.
And Ma really made me realize that.
Yeah,
man. Me and little bro was having a conversation and on the phone, and Ma was just like, you can't wait for the perfect moment.
Right.
Can't wait for the perfect whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta be in the moment and take it for what it is. So yeah, I think I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older to realize, like, I used to be like, you know, when we was younger, it's about like bragging rights, a trophy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you ain't lying.
A trophy on your arm, you know, make you feel good to show your bros, man.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that don't matter, because a lot of people that we grew up with, those same bros you want to impress and show off to, they'd be the same ones that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You turn your back.
But then we talked about that. You're not really your brother if you plotting like that. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
The moment that you're dating somebody, right, or whatever degree of relationship you guys have, that's no longer, like, to me, that's like, okay, that's my sister at that point. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It don't matter what going on. That's out of bounds. For one, there's too many women out here. That's number one. The issue a lot of times in them situations is proximity. And I do think this leads us to another point, right? Community and how it can affect relationships. How family can interfere with relationships and things like that and cause hardships. Have you had them kind of experiences? Like, how does that look for you?
Where family is
They might like talk you out of it or discourage you from being with that person. It's like you have to be careful because some family members have poor taste in partners. So you really do have to be careful, like, and really be comfortable with yourself and what you guys have going on.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's a way to counteract that in a healthy way?
Yeah, I think not telling everybody your business is going to be one of those.
Yeah.
Because we all have family, or I like to say relatives, who will, you know, say, you know, definitely if they don't like that person in any ways, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason they don't like that person, they might try to dissuade you to not deal with that person. I say follow what you believe is the right thing to do, because you got to live with yourself and look at yourself in the mirror. So as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror, rather you wearing that clown suit, if you can live with yourself wearing that clown suit and that mask, I say that's your business. But as far as letting somebody stop you from being happy with somebody that you want to be with, or somebody you like, or that you're vibing with, let that be your choice. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody input ain't great input.
No.
There's some people out here jealous for real.
Yes.
Or just, you know, it's weird, right? Everybody claims to, I want you to be happy, but your version of happiness and mine may not line up. Therefore, your input probably shouldn't be warranted here, right? A lot of people don't take that into consideration. When you're getting advice from certain people, make sure that, like, it's a person that you admire, somebody that you would follow, right, in those situations. I wouldn't go to, for example, the worst person you could go to for advice, marriage advice, on successful relationships is like a Steve Harvey. Why would I go to someone who doesn't understand a healthy and successful relationship? If you're on marriage number 4, you can probably tell me what not to do, but I certainly wouldn't rely on this person to tell me what does work. That's nonsense, right? So it's like, people don't realize that, but we got family members and things that do that. And so it's kind of like, how do we establish those? Because it's easier, I think, in a relationship to establish boundaries there. But how do you do that with family members?
Family members. Well, you know, I'm glad that you got my mind thinking. That's one thing I love about me and Lil Bro's conversation, and the only thing I love about this podcast, because we get to talk about real life conversations that get lost in the sauce. Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand, like, a lot of mothers and sisters, they have a certain love for you definitely as me. I got sisters, I got a mother, and you know, a lot of times they see you dealing with women, and they be like, I don't like her, you know what I'm saying? Because of the love they have for you. You know, something like I don't want to see you make the wrong mistake. You know what I'm saying? Overprotective, that's the word. They're a little bit overprotective. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, I know my mom ain't never going to do nothing to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? I know my sister, we butt heads, but at the end of the day, they you know, that's my sister. They're going to ride for me. But as a man, I got to make these choices by myself to say, like, you know what? You know, I feel like what my sister is saying, what my mother said, I'll take that input healthy, I'll take it into me, but I won't let it make the decision for me. You know, we've got to, as grown men, we've got to make our own decisions. Nothing, like I said, is ever going to be perfect. So we just got to factor in a lot of things and then come out with a decision that we can live with. I'm about really making decisions that I can live with. And that's the bestest thing I can tell anybody for advice. If you can look yourself in the mirror and live with yourself, go for it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't, then you might want to reconsider what you're doing.
Have you ever made a long-term decision that at first you might have been comfortable with, and then it's like 2 years down the line, it's like, damn.
Yes.
You did that. Like,
yes. As you can, I think we all can say we made decisions.
I can tell you right now, I know I have. You ain't got to worry about that.
Still doing to this day.
But I think that's something people don't understand. This is why it's important to know yourself, right? And like be okay with that. It's nonsensical to think you're gonna get with somebody, think you're not gonna mess up, or like trying to make the first impression, right? Oftentimes, and I saw a really I can't remember the name right now. I don't want to misquote him either, but he was basically saying where a lot of people often mess up is like early on, where you send out your representative instead of being yourself. And so then you create an expectation that's not realistic because you send out your representative. And so
you're right about that.
It's like the woman that like, oh, when we first met, I'm always wearing makeup, I'm always in the gym. And then you get with him and it's like, you don't wear makeup like that. You're not hitting the gym like that. You got me, but now you want to switch up. And I think that's really like, people don't talk about that enough. But it's something that men think about. And it's like, how do you get that message across without offending the other person?
I'll say this though. I talked about this not too long ago. When a person is dating somebody, it's like they forget. Like for example, For example, I'm dealing with a woman, and when she first meet me, she's wearing the makeup, she's dressing a certain type of way, she's smelling a certain type of way, and I want to pursue her. I'm like, man, I gotta have that. You know, that's on my radar, and I'm pursuing that. So you gotta understand, the same thoughts I'm having, plenty of other guys or men are having. So I want to make myself different than those average men or the average guys that are pursuing her. So I'm doing everything. I'm buying her roses. I'm taking her to the movies. Taking her to nice dinners. I'm not buying her nails or doing hair. That's just not me. I'm not gonna do that. That's your upkeep. I shouldn't have to maintain your upkeep unless you're my woman. So a lot of times, but you know, when you finally do get her and make her your lady, sometimes men, we got her. We got her. She's definitely you get her. Yeah, you get a little lazy. You get comfortable, not knowing that same beauty and everything that you wanted in that woman, some other guys is hawking on. So a lot of times the same thing, vice versa for women with men. You know, the woman's upkeep is nice, and then she gets a man and she gets comfortable. She starts getting lazy or whatever it may be, and you forget that same guy that you wanted, that all the other ladies want, they still want him, and vice versa.
Right.
So we always gotta keep in our mind. I'm not saying you gotta go out and do 110 things for that person, but just show that person that they're still special in your way that you did before. You know what I mean? Or continue to show little things that make that person feel special. If they can't appreciate it, that's on them.
So you really do got to be at a certain place mentally for that. Because right now it's a whole lot of what can I get and how little do I have to give to get it.
Yes.
It's a very user-like mentality. It's nasty, straight up, you know, and I think it's become something that's infested dating. Right,
yes,
like
I agree,
and you know, even like my approach to dating now. For one, I'll be honest with you, I don't believe in social media dating apps. I don't. I've been on there. It's dumb. Like, let's keep it 100. It's lust driven.
Yes.
It's, you know, I don't think that, and maybe I'm wrong. Some people can have real relationships out of it, but based off of my experiences and what I've seen, it doesn't work, right? So how do you...
Both of us.
Right. So what would you suggest? I truly, I do believe meeting people in person is the best way to go about it. Because you can't send a representative in person to the degree that you can on, say, Facebook or whatever, right?
Yeah, you're right. I would have to say, like, going as a person who's been off of social media for years, like, you know, as a 90s baby, like, we come off of that. We come off of meeting people at the mall. We come off of meeting people on the bus, like just socializing with people. It wasn't a job. It was easy. It came naturally. Like, that's why, like, I feel like the social media thing, I did it for so long, it got boring to me. because the expectations are so high. You can put on filters, you can hide behind the camera,
right?
You can everything negative about your stuff that you see, you can narrate that. You can edit a photo. You can't edit in person.
No,
you could tweak it up a little bit, but
or
with,
makeup,
makeup on, but you can't fix your height.
No.
You can't fix, if you have acne, you can only cover that up by so much. So when you're in person, you like for example, you go meet somebody at the mall and you walk up to that person, hey, how you doing? What's your name? You'll feel that energy. You can't feel the energy through a computer.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
Yeah, you can't fake that. In person is real. She gonna the way that the person talks to you and looks you in the eye. See, I'm a man. I look you. I love eye contact. Yeah. It shows me, that not just that you're into when I'm talking about the conversation. So I just feel like social media has really blinded a lot of people, because a lot of people, when they finally do meet up, it's like, who are you?
Right.
Who are you? You're not the same person.
The way you were talking, you don't even have the same level of confidence, right? Like it's a lot of people don't talk, but it's like personality catfishing. You gotta do is this hat fishing. You bald, but in that picture, it looked like you had a line up that was kind of crispy. Now it's like it's
got the spray paint on the top.
You know what? It's incentivized people who have say developmental delays, right, in terms of communication ability. Yeah. It's really giving them something to hide behind it. You meet them in person, it's like, you don't have a personality. You're kind of rude while we're out. You don't have manners and stuff like that. It's like, what do you think the solution is to that? Do you think people should continue to engage in that? I think if it's not working, you try different strategies, but I don't see the purpose of trying to engage in that format anymore.
I agree with what you just said. Like, I believe in when something don't work, try something different.
Yeah.
Social media relationships for me, I did that since I was MySpace days, since I was a teenager. Talking about dial up on a computer, you know what I'm saying? Like, I did that when we were younger, so it's like, I did that for such a long time, and I've never had a successful relationship. Like, all my relationships, it was just a false sense of security. You know what I mean? And then you get to the point where you like, who on your wall, Pete? Who's on your wall? Who's writing on your? I don't have time for that. Like, if I'm going to put my time into a relationship or meeting people, I want you to know everything about me, all my flaws, everything that makes me great, everything that I feel doesn't make me great. I want you to like feel everything that I feel, and I want you to feel it in person. You know, I've done the online thing for such a long time. It's not in me no more.
This is my next point. Things that do and don't work. What are your deal breakers? Do you have any that are like some that you look at? Okay, maybe this is a little bit silly or not. Like, do you have any like that?
Any deal breakers
in terms of when you meet a person or with them? Do you have it?
Like as far as physical attraction,
all of it.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, well that's a good one. I like that question because I can really dig deep into the potatoes. You know, I can dig deep. Okay. So deal breakers for me, I would honestly say like just not having a personality at this point in my life. Like,
what does that look like though? Does it mean they have to be funny? They have to.
Okay, that's a good question. See, that's what I love about this podcast. You know, I would say that for me it would be like no sense of humor. I gotta laugh. Like laughing to me is like living. Like you know, that's what keeps me going is laughter. And I've always had a sense of humor my whole life. You know, I would say lack of eye contact.
Okay.
You know, I understand. Like, you might meet me and you might be a little shy, or you might have a little social anxiety. I understand. Like, we all human, but I like eye contact. You know, I like to know that you're engaged with me in the conversation. Hygiene. You know, that's number one. You know, I'm talking about fingernails with dirt underneath of it. You know what I'm saying?
Doodle fingers.
Lift your arms up. During the summertime, you got a cluster of deodorant.
Stick
on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a deal breaker. Long fingernails. Extendo clips on your fingernails. Like, we're not doing that. Like,
so self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness is a big thing for me. But mostly if we're going, like, I just want you to be able to engage in conversation. Like, I'm a deep thinker. I need a woman who we can talk about more than just the basic things going on in life. I want to engage in deep conversation. I like to go for walks. I like a woman who's into physical activity. I don't like a lazy woman because I'm not a lazy person myself. You know, I'm not saying you got to be rich or wealthy, but have some ambition to yourself. Yeah. You know, if you don't have those are automatic deal breakers for me. And I think that's fair.
Do you have, did you name some that are, physical? Do you have anything physically that you feel like you sometimes lack confidence in or struggle with? Something that you might find is maybe a deal breaker for somebody else. Do you have any, like, and there's nothing wrong to give a confident answer because you should be confident, but I'm just, do you have, because some guys may struggle with certain things. Yes. How do you feel like you overcome those things if you're a guy?
Okay. As far as like, for me personally, like, you know, coming up, you know, dealing with the first heartbreaks that makes you insecure as a man.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
You know, making you doubt where she's going, what she's wearing, and all of that. I've dealt with that, like, you know, what you wearing when you go out? You know, stuff like that will kind of, you know, will make you a little insecure because of you've been hurt in your past. Okay. But then you realize, is she really down for you and love you?
Those boundaries.
Respect those boundaries. She's not going to question why you feel like that. You know what I mean? She's going to be like, you know what? If that makes you comfortable, you know, I'm willing to make those adjustments. You know, I don't believe in changing people. I've done it. I tried to do it before. It doesn't work, guys. No. It does. It pushes them away, and they still gonna do them, and you're gonna be the only one suffering in silence. Yeah. So, but I believe that for me personally in my life, it was just dealing with not the confidence in myself because you know, I'm confident, but because of the being hurt in the past, that makes you do some things that you normally wouldn't do, as far as, you know, worrying about the things you shouldn't, you know, like the clothing and where you going and, you know, what time you gonna be doing this, because that leads to, you know, you want, you know, being controlling, man, and no woman or no person wants to be, you know.
I find that difficult, right? Because it's like, I don't think that's controlling. I think some things are just straight up boundaries, and I think that there is a level of self-respect in the way that you should carry yourself, right? And I think people use your controlling thing is a cop-out to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's nonsense, right? I don't think it's too much to ask a partner to say, like, look, I'm not really comfortable with you doing that. That doesn't make you controlling. It's you being open. And if you can't do that with somebody that you say you care about, then clearly you two should be together. But it's sometimes it can be hard to communicate things effectively. And if you haven't been in a bunch of healthy situations, it can be really difficult, right? Really difficult. So what would your advice be to then, if there's something you struggle with verbally like that, right? What steps do you think somebody should take to get that point across in a healthy way?
I think the healthy way is to not hold it in, because there's been times in my past I held it in, and then when it came out, it wasn't.
Came out wrong.
It came out wrong.
I know. Yeah.
So if you feel some type of way, speak up. I had to talk to a young guy. I met a young guy while I was working, and he's about 19, maybe 21, 19 to the 21 age range. And he asked me about a relationship problem he was having, and it was late morning. I answered. I said, "I'll call you." I called him back. He was asking me about he had his girl had a best friend, a boy best friend, and he was feeling insecure about it, and he was like, "What should I do?" I'm like, "Don't keep it in. Like, let her know how you feel about that, because it's gonna eat you up."
Oh Lord, you know you don't can of words now, right?
I told him that. But my answer to your question, be verbal. Don't hold it in. Don't let that eat you up inside. You can communicate. You can bring it up to, listen, such and such, whoever you are that you're dating, male, female, whatever, and you could just communicate. That's my biggest thing. Don't hold it in. That's the only advice I could give to somebody.
I think that's the absolute best way to, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. No. You have to figure out what works best for you. But holding it in, damn sure ain't the answer. No. Like I said, man, you try to hold certain stuff in, and it don't take but one or two incidents or two things to happen. And plus, it's just a formula for failure, like holding stuff in. Hoping that somebody will figure it out or get it. People are not mind readers. We're not X-Men. We don't have some Professor X going on. They need to communicate that, right? And, I think one of the challenges now is that people say they want truth, they want honesty, but let's be real, a lot of people aren't really ready for that. They don't know how to handle that, right? Nope. And it's hard to hold somebody accountable or to set boundaries with people that is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're right.
And it sets you up for failure, because it's like, well, how am I going to communicate this with you if every time I say something, you take it as a harsh criticism when I'm just being honest with you about something? Now, I wouldn't say I have been one of those people where I go with a little bit too much, right? So but I do think I've grown in that way. But for people that are not there, like, it's hard. Like it can be difficult, right? But I don't think relationships have to be that hard. Now, do you agree with that? Because a lot of people think some relationships should be hard. I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't think they have to be that hard.
I've
least
seen you.
dating.
Yeah, I agree with you because I've seen you personally handle things respectfully. It's all in the tone and how you do it, how you do things. Seriously, like so, you don't have to be a-hole, bro, to get your point across. Like, it's so many examples I could throw out there, but it's all in. Like I said, it's all in the tone, and I feel like, if I'm feeling some type of way, I can express it, but I don't have to be ignorant about the way I express it. And if you can't handle, like, I'm really on some, like, if you can't handle it, that's a personal problem. And maybe we not, I really don't try to overcomplicate things. As I'm getting older, I'm really being more. I'm more simple, I'm more chill, I'm more relaxed, I'm more open to learning new things and being around people who can teach me stuff. So it's like, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you want me to, I'm not gonna suffer in silence, like I said earlier. I'm not gonna suffer in silence while you la-di-da-di-da and I'm over here suffering and I'm holding this in. I'd rather me communicate, and guess what? If you feel like if it's not in our best interest, we can part ways. I'm cool with that at this point in my life. You know what I'm saying? Because it's better for me to be happy than to be miserable in a situation because I want to hold on to somebody who's not healthy for me.
But see, I'm glad you said that because that does take me to another point where I used to mention this on the podcast when I first started, but something that I call preference pain. And we just had a conversation with somebody earlier, but they were like, I can't date a person that's too small for me. But what I've realized is, and I've seen a bunch of women do this, I only like guys this height, stuff like that. And yet, their relationships are shit.
Yes.
They struggle in relationship. And it's like, at some point, you have to realize that your preferences are limiting what is ultimately best for you, right? And I think it's a little bit different for guys. Now, some guys, they have such defined preferences that they too struggle. Like, I only like chocolate women or only date white women and stuff like that. Just like, okay, you can miss out on the rainbow if you like to, but don't complain when you keep trying to fit a certain mold of women into these categories. Like women are not a monolith, right? So you can't get with all light-skinned women and then hope for these results. If you're going to keep, specifying to the point where it's like only one type of person, there are a bunch of different types, right? And so it's very interesting that I'll see, like, for example, I saw a chick that I used to go to high school earlier. She was like, I'm 5'9", and it's cool. You're taller, right? Women want guys that are taller. Cool enough. But as attractive as you are, and your personality, you seem very easy to get along with. You have your stuff together, right? And yet you have not had not one successful relationship. And you keep getting the men that you're looking for, but it's not working out. At what point are you going to adjust your preferences? The preferences that you have can cause you pain. Yes. And there's a lot of people that are attracted to a lot of toxic traits. Not to be entitled to a toxic trait, but what I'm saying is you're not open-minded enough, and therefore the person that God has for you, you're not ready to receive it because you're limiting yourself where it's like God has something bigger and better for you. I've done it in other aspects, maybe not so much with dating.
I've done it too.
But it's just interesting, right, how people are harming themselves with nonsensical preferences. It's different to say this person was this weight when I met him and then it changes, or I like this help a person, because you can control that. But to say, I don't want to deal with anybody that's 5'7", 5'8", boo-boo. You aren't this. I can see Candace Parker saying that, wanting a taller person, but it's just like people get in their own way. And it's just interesting. So I'm curious what your perspectives are on that for men and women.
See, I like how that really got my mind thinking because what did one of the smartest men to ever grace this earth say? He said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting a different outcome. And that's from Albert Einstein. Yeah. So y'all are all out here, y'all want to keep dating the same type of person or just a different flesh but the same mentality or the same personality traits, y'all keep going forward because all you're going to get is a circle. People always say I'm going to do what's the saying people always say? they say I'm gonna do a 180 or I'm gonna change, like that gets you right back, or 360 or whatever they say, but it gets them right back to the same point.
Right. That's just dumb. Make an adjustment.
Yeah, make an adjustment. Like little bro said, you have women out here who are 5'2" that want a man who's 6'4".
Wow.
Tell me, where does that make sense?
But not just that.
Where-
Common sense tells you
I
if
mean,
this is your
come on.
preference, you have to understand that that person has a choice and a preference too.
Yes.
He's 6'4", boo-boo. He has a bunch of different options, probably off the strength that he's tall.
He's tall.
How do you know that you are even in the realm of what he could possibly like?
Could possibly like.
People don't think about that.
don't think about
what
that.
you're attracted to, does that mean that they're attracted to you? Go for it and find out. But don't get upset about the results and saying, oh, men ain't this or that. When you keep picking these particular traits that keep putting you in positions for failure. Yes. A lot of people don't realize that. But you're putting yourself in relationships, not God-made, but they're man-made.